Before you watch this video, I want to let you know that this weekend I'm going to be live on Twitch for all the sport. Saturday afternoon, it's Manchester City versus Liverpool. Saturday night, the big fight. Anthony Joshua returns against Jermaine Franklin, and if he loses, he said he's going to retire, so there's a lot of pressure on that one. Then on Sunday, it's the big roundtable debate show live from 4 o'clock for Newcastle versus Manchester United. So feel free to hang out with me on Twitch for all the live sport this weekend. The link is in the description below, or you can just search True Geordie, and I'll see you there on Twitch. Moving on to top four, Arsenal, Man City, Man United look solidified in the top three. Man United are on 50 points, then you've got Tottenham on 49, but Man United have played 2 games less. Newcastle on 47, played 2 games less than Spurs, and then Liverpool on 42, who played the same games as Newcastle. To be fair, Brighton have played actually a game less than Newcastle, and Liverpool are on the same points as Liverpool. So.
Liverpool are the bookies' favourites to finish fourth.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Why would they be your favourites, Marv?
Because I think they know how to win. The bare bones of what a good team is, and I think spanking Man United 7-0 shows that they have the thing that is required to get in top 4. I think Tottenham feel like they're shaky with their management change. I think Newcastle are going to drop off after the Carabao Cup and continue to do so. I think it's just very hard to maintain that level. Brighton just don't have enough. So I feel like they will nick it very, very late in the day and get it. Also, I feel like Liverpool really need it as well for basically what they're trying to do in the summer. And the fact that they're not going to be sold anymore.
Did they defeat the Bournemouth, though, after beating Man United?
It was very bizarre, and it goes to show just how many things aren't right in Liverpool currently. But I still think if you can score 7 goals in any game, let alone against your rival, you have enough in there. So the question is Klopp going to find the key to unlock it all for them? And that's the bigger question. But I feel like they'll nick it just because Tottenham are in a strong place, and I don't think Newcastle have enough.
Do you think Spurs won't get it?
No. I don't think Spurs will get it. I have to agree with Marvin. I think Liverpool are going to do it. I just think Spurs this season, where we are, is actually flattering based on how we've performed, based on how we play, based on everything that's gone on with the manager off the field and on the field, obviously his personal problems as well. Mm-hmm. For us to be fourth, sometimes I look at the table and I'm like, how are we there? And then I look at Harry Kane's goal record this season. I'm like, okay, oh yeah. That's how we're there. And, you know, I think it's a shame for Spurs because, like I said, I think we're at a crossroads now. Harry Kane could leave. I don't see why he would stay, but there's a chance he could stay. Conte's definitely gone. And I look at Liverpool, there's just a bit more stability there. Yeah, this season they've been up and down. They haven't been consistent. A lot of their best players haven't maybe been on form. But I think they'll get the job done. They've got the players to do it. They've got the experience. And all they have to do is just turn it on at any stage.
They've got those world-class players that Newcastle haven't got. I take that. But Michael, you're a Newcastle fan, man.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a straight run between Liverpool and Newcastle. Sorry, Greg. I'm writing Tottenham out of this. You're too much of a...
I'm not upset.
You're too much of a basket case at the minute. But thing with Newcastle, though, you said, they'll drop off the Carabao Cup. Funnily enough, they actually dropped off before the Carabao Cup because they were distracted by it. They're also burnt out a little bit, I think. But now they've put 2 wins together in a row, beating Wolves and Forest. So I think we're going to have a strong finish at the end of the season.
Look, Newcastle have never been like a 4-0 team or a 5-0 team. We know what they are. They're just there to work really, really hard. But it just wears out after a certain point.
We did win 4-0 and 5-1 earlier this season. But go on, Mark.
Earlier this season, I'm saying they're not a team to go and do that. And so for
we're
me,
not good goal scorers. I take it.
No, it's just like your whole thing is about outworking players, breaking them teams, and working them and breaking them down. And for me, I think that's worked really, really well. It's really hard to do it for the whole season, and this is normally at the point where teams like that really struggle. I feel like the Carabao Cup is going to lose momentum, and fighting for the top 4 isn't actually a thing. Like I appreciate it's a massive marker, but it's not a thing to re-energize yourself for. It's a really just hard thing to do.
Well, on that then, do you not think that might put Newcastle above Liverpool in terms of they wanted more? I mean, Liverpool have to get top 4 to save themselves.
In terms of pressure, I feel like there's more pressure on Liverpool.
Exactly, to save themselves from embarrassment.
I think they can handle it. They've won Champions Leagues and leagues. They know. Yeah, that squad know how to pull it out in a way that Newcastle won't have a clue.
If you go into Liverpool's dressing room and you go into Newcastle's dressing room, compare the morale, all right? Compare. Liverpool are down on their knees. They're having an awful
talent. Compare the know-how.
Yes. Bro. On that, if you compare both... Sorry, Greg, you'll have a bit in a minute. If you compare both squads, yes, Liverpool have much more talented squad, but Newcastle have been more consistent with the quality that they have. Do you know what I mean? We haven't had a crazy... this season.
It's not enough.
I'm not saying. By the way, I agree with you. I think Liverpool will get top 4 because they can turn it on and win 5 games in a row. But I think it'll go the last game of the season. It'll be between Newcastle.
Yeah, but I don't think it will be Newcastle and Liverpool that it goes to the last game.
You think it'll be Tottenham?
Sorry, guys. I think Tottenham got a better chance of top 4 than Liverpool, as bad as we are. Because we got Harry Kane. That's literally why. Out of all those 3 teams, we've got a man that will put the ball in the back of the net no matter what.
Yeah, but I think we all know.
That's it. That's the game changer.
I think we all know that in April and May you'll have Ryan Mason in the dugout, and he's. Yeah,
but that doesn't mean anything to Harry Kane. Listen, right now we have been moving headless, and Harry Kane still pops up with headers and tap-ins and all kinds of goals because that's just what he does. I think that's the only difference between us getting top 4 and
I'm starting to lean towards Newcastle.
Yeah, right. He's talking waffle. It's not Harry Kane FC, man.
I'll make my case because I think I agree with a lot of everything that people have said. It's not that I disagree, but if you look at Tottenham and Liverpool, Tottenham have lost 9 games this season. Liverpool have lost 8. Newcastle have lost 3. And the 3 that we lost to, what was Liverpool?
Liverpool twice.
And Man City was one of them as well.
Yeah.
So, we're losing to some of the best teams.
A lot of draws, though.
We've had a lot of draws. However...
Quite a lot of draws.
However, we are currently 5 points clear of Liverpool as it stands. Same games played. 2 points behind Spurs, but with 2 games in hand.
Yeah.
Now, I think you could argue mathematically we're in the best situation here. And the one X factor that is popped up in the last couple of games is Isak. Now, this kid... The level, I think sometimes when I watch Newcastle players, they don't get their flowers because they're Newcastle players. Bruno is a great example. If he was playing for Man United right now, the whole world would be singing his praises. When I watch Isak, I'm watching him thinking, if you were playing for Chelsea or if you were playing for a bigger club, the world would be talking about you. His goals per games ratio right now in the Premier League is second only to Erling Haaland. Now, granted, it's not a lot of games, but the point is he's scored, 7 in 6 games or whatever it is, and he's just finding form. And he is doing things on that pitch that I haven't seen from a striker in a while in terms of being the focal point of our team. And it's making me think, if we can keep defending like we do, and Isak can keep putting the ball in the back of the net, that could be enough to clinch top 4 for us. Before Isak, I was like, no way are we getting top 4. But he is showing, that's why we paid 70 million for you. You're actually fucking class.
He didn't even play in your cup final. He doesn't register when we're talking about forwards, and we're talking about Gakpo, Firmino, Salah, Diaz. There's real top forwards. It's not even close to being the same. I feel like the bigger problem is Liverpool have so much experience, they can turn it on at any given time. We saw that with the 7-0. There's no way they're going to go without any form of fight. For something isn't quite right, but if they unlock it, it's happening for them.
But to your point about Isak, in terms of he's been injured a lot this season, and that's where my frustration's been. So I've been like, when am I going to see what this guy's made of? And in the last 2 games, he has looked unbelievably good.
You did Isak dirty there. He would definitely get into the Liverpool... Better than
Liverpool what?
I was going to say 11, but it wouldn't be far off.
Liverpool what?
Starting 11. It wouldn't
get
be
into
far.
no top team.
You're not ready.
You wouldn't have gone to Newcastle if that was the case.
Arsenal, you're just bitter because you can go to Arsenal 2 years ago after
because that's what I wanted.
All right.
I don't want Trossard. I want.
No, Eddie and Ketty instead.
Have Liverpool got more match winners? That's not up for debate. Yeah. But are Newcastle better defensively and better in the midfield? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why we're 5 points clear of Liverpool when we haven't got as many match winners. And one of our match winners just started scoring. That's all I'm saying. It's like, previously, in the past couple of weeks, months, I'd completely agree with you. But now I'm like, you know what? I think
you're right, Brian.
I think we're onto something.
They say every great team is built on a defence. And this season, without question, Liverpool have been clowns at the back, even with Van Dijk. Newcastle have been unbelievable.
We have the best defence in the league statistically.
Sven Botman and Fabian Schär did not lose a game together until... this year.
I think we actually have a better chance than I ever expected us to have at this point. And I've got to give credit to Eddie Howe. What a job he's done. But it is frustrating because when I'm watching Newcastle right now, I'm like, the lack of technical ability at times in the midfield, especially when you see some of these misplaced passes and some of the set pieces.
What do you make about Maximin? Because a lot of people are getting on his back saying, he doesn't pass the ball. I don't pass the ball when I play football either, and I get the same shit. So maybe it's a sore topic for me. I love dribblers. That's why I was thinking of Wilfried Zaha earlier. What do you think?
If you look at St. Maximin, for all the talent he has, the output this season is pathetic. In terms of goals and assists, which is what a player like him is going to be judged on, it's non-existent. So, and this is the thing, it's not that he's not trying, because he really is putting the effort in, but you're like, look up more. Look for I made a joke once when Nick Pope got sent off, and so Maximin was up front on his own, and I went, he'll love that because now he doesn't have to pass to anyone.
He got man the match. He got man the match. The last thing he got man the match.
But that's him. He really would rather shine on his own
do it himself
than have to, But here's the thing: is for the first time ever, he's looking along the line and going, "Oh, you're better than me. You're actually better than me." I think Guimaraes, for example, and Isak are more talented than he is in terms of end product, in terms of what they're actually bringing to the team. But, for the first time in a long time, I'm looking at Newcastle thinking Sven Botman, Bruno Guimaraes, Isak, there is a spine where we're actually going to build around that. And next season, I think if we don't get top 4 this season, we're really on for it next season.
I know you love Eddie Howe, but how long is he around for? Will you just keep him around forever and try and elevate up with him, or do you then try and maybe take the next step? How do you feel about
Mourinho?
I think that's all I was going to say. The end goal is Jose Mourinho. There's a statue of Bobby outside the ground. He's his former protege. Like, it's set.
You're not up for that, are you?
You don't want Jose now.
I
want Jose always.
I think Eddie Howe, we're a different kind of club. We're loyal to a fault. We sang Rafa Benitez's name as we were relegated. Like, we're not a normal club. So I think that the memories and what we've seen from Eddie Howe already is going to buy him a lot of time. These Geordies are loyal. So I think what it would have to be is like repetitive, like kind of what happened with Pochettino at Spurs. It would have to be at a point where the whole fan base goes, you're not that guy. But we'd have to give him all the money, all the time, everything possible. But the difference is Pochettino didn't get all of that, the money and all of that. I think Eddie will get that. So we will find out very quickly, are you built for the top level, or are you just that top 6 guy?
The next step.
I just feel like as Newcastle build, and I can see it already with some of the players that they're linked with, if you go too big, they will look at Eddie Howe and be like, you can't tell me what to do. And if they're not good enough, they won't push you enough. So it's almost like this constant refining act of like finding those high energy, high dedication, I love the area, I love the squad, or I'm going to play for you players within a decent budget. I think it's just a very difficult thing to do.
Arteta did that with Arsenal, though. If you look at the way he treated Aubameyang.
But I think Arsenal is still Arsenal. So if you say to someone in Europe, come to Arsenal, there's like okay, cool. You couldn't get Odegaard into Newcastle because he's coming from Real Madrid. He's not going to go to Newcastle. And I'm not saying that in a disrespectful thing. It's just like going from Lyon to Newcastle kind of makes sense. Going from Real Madrid or going to those type of players.
I mean, Mike Owen did it.
I also think even if you have, unless you have a couple of young gems that are just lying around your academy, I don't think you're going to be able to.
There's one thing that's going to change all of that. Saudi Airways, right? No, it's true though. Like, let's be real. Manchester City were not a big deal at all, and then now they go in for the biggest players. The biggest players go there. Are people dying to live in Manchester necessarily? No, it's about the money. And if once we get those sponsorships, then all of a sudden, little old Arsenal were like, how much are you offering? I'd 50 grand a week, bro. Yeah.
I think the problem is that we're now operating in a different era.
Yeah.
And the reason why we've spent so much money as a club is because we are going into this new era where you can't do this financial trickery that we're doing. And you're now going to have to build a squad that's going to compete for Champions Leagues, which is a very difficult ask from a squad which, quite frankly, beyond the first team is basically what you're saying, like a lower Premier League level.
It's relegation battle.
So the biggest thing for you is you've got to go this summer and you've got to build a squad because you have a first 11.
There are some players in the bottom 10 of the league, and I think another platform did a top 10 2 years ago down.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting looking around. It's like there's a couple of players that you think actually Newcastle could add to their squad, but if you go to the Europa League, it's going to stretch your team further. So you're going to end up doubling up on the same kind of 7.5 out of 10 player. It just might be not enough to get you through to from those competitions.
If we do get Champions League, how does that change our options? Do you think that completely changes how people say?
I think you're better off going into the Europa League and actually having a really good stab at it, and then using that as a stepping stone to then go for the Champions League. Because I think honestly, and we've seen it with so many other clubs, if you go into the Champions League now with the squad that you have, you are going to seriously struggle next year.